Brahmanath. Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Swastha.
Hello students. Today we are going to discuss Unit 1 and 2 of The Doctor's Word by R.K. Narayan. R.K. Narayan, his name was Rashipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer Narayanaswamy, born on 1906 to 2001. He was actually an Indian English novelist and a short story writer. His narratives highlighted social context and provide a feeling of his characters through everyday life. Okay, he provided a feeling of being very social. He had a feeling, he had a concern of others, and that he portrayed because he gave utmost importance to humanity. And he has created a fictional town called Malgudi that stood for reality. It was a fictional world created by R.K. Narayan, and there's no place called Malgudi. Fictional means imaginary. That was his imaginary world, and he made it so real that one who reads and sees would always feel that Malgudi really stood as a town, but that was a fictional town called Malgudi, which he had turned into reality. And here in this chapter, The Doctor's Word, the warm-up, a doctor saves lives both with his skill and more with his words. Do you agree? It is because the patient's will to survive is what matters. 100% true. It all depends on the doctor. The soothing words, the comforting words of the doctor can heal the ailment or the sickness of a patient and can revive a patient's will to become more stronger, to push the disease off and the jill to live. Soothing words of a doctor work miraculously for a patient even in a critical condition. That's absolutely right. Let's read the story and see if human life hangs on a doctor's word. Read the following unit of the story and acquaint yourself with the character of Dr. Raman. So we are going to touch two characters here in this story, The Doctor's Word. That's a doctor named Dr. Raman and his friend Gopal, two bosom intimate friends who were friends for last 40 years from their kindergarten days. So let's begin with Unit 1, the text. People came to him when the patient was on his last legs. Dr. Raman often burst out, "Why couldn't you have come a day earlier?" The reason was obvious: visiting fee 25 rupees, and more than that, people liked to shrink the fact that the time had come to call in Dr. Raman. For them, there was something ominous in the very association. As a result, when the big man came on the screen, it was always a quick decision, one way or another. So patients, mostly the patients, always visited Dr. Raman on his last leg, means when they did become weak and likely to collapse. No patient did go to Dr. Raman initially when they were sick. They did go to him when they used to become very weak and they did get close to being collapsed, and they used to go to Dr. Raman. And the reason was very obvious. One was because of his high visiting fee, that was 25 rupees, quite a high in those days, okay? And the second thing was everybody, because of the straightforwardness of the doctor. He didn't lie. He was very truthful, and he never took any other way. It was one way or the other. It means that he would directly tell the patient. If the patient would live, he would say he would live. If he would die, he would die. On the face, very straightforward, honest and committed doctor. And so the patients always feared. They felt it threatening. You see, ominous means threatening, and say this. That's the reason why the patients always shrink. Shrink means to avoid, to escape. They always wanted to avoid and escape Dr. Raman because they felt it was threatening with in his association or when he came to the picture because of his straightforwardness. Okay, so there was no scope or time for any kind of wavering or whitewashing. Dr. Raman, he did give no scope for wavering or whitewashing. Wavering means when you become indecisive. The man wasn't indecisive at all whether I would say or no. This is called being indecisive. When you're not clear about should you do it or shouldn't you do it. That is called being indecisive, when you're not able to take a proper decision at the right time. So that's called wavering. Whitewashing means when you try to pamper, you try to flatter, you try to cover and hide something. That is called whitewashing. So the man, Dr. Raman, as a doctor, he never gave a scope to waver or to whitewash. Long years of practice of this kind had bred in the doctor a certain truthfulness. For that very reason, his opinion was valued. He was not a mere doctor expressing an opinion, but a judge pronouncing a verdict. The doctor, for years of his practice, he did bred to inculcate. He was of that kind. Now that was into his blood, into his nerves. Being truthful. Curt means short and sharp. So he had that sharp truthfulness in him where he never lied the patient, where he never felt indecisive whether I would speak or not. Neither he flattered or pampered or whitewashed the patients. He was very straightforward in his approach. And so this he had inculcated in his work since years, and now it was in his blood. And so that's the reason why whatever Dr. Raman did say, his opinion was valued like a judge pronouncing a verdict in a courtroom. Verdict basically means the decision that has been given after a lot of testing. Okay, like a judge sits in a courtroom and gives a verdict, exactly like that. The doctor's opinion or his words were also valued a lot because everybody knew that he was very truthful and straightforward. The patient's life hung on his words, obviously. This never unduly worried Dr. Raman. He never believed that agreeable words ever saved lives. He did not think it was only of his business to provide unnecessary dope. Dope means actually hope, okay? Dope when a matter of course nature would tell them the truth in a few hours. The man, Dr. Raman as a person, was such a person and such a doctor that he never wanted to give unnecessary hope to his patients because he was very clear. He knew that if at all he would give unnecessary hope to the patient, the nature, time would reveal the truth. Nature would come up with the truth and the person would die and the doctor would become a liar. So that's the reason why telling a lie or trying to give unnecessary hope to his patients that they would live had no value, had no cause, and so he always spoke very straightforwardly the truth to his patients. However, when he glimpsed that faintest sign of hope, he rolled up his sleeves and stepped into the arena. It might be hours or days, but he never withdrew till he wrestled the prize from Yama's hands. Rest means, actually glimpse means saw faintly or partly, okay? And so here rest means from a person's, take violently from a person's grasp, okay? From hold, that is what is rest and wrestled. So he, whenever the man, the doctor, as a person, he never gave unnecessary hope. But on the other hand, if he did find the slightest hope in his patient, that the patient could live or would survive, he would jump into the arena. He would give his days and nights 24 into 7. And he was roll up his sleeves. Roll up his sleeves means when you get ready for hard work. He would get ready for the work and he would give his days and nights, and 24 into 7 he would work for the patient till he could get back the hands of the life of his patient from the hands of Yama, okay, or death. Clear? So now let's go to Unit 2. Unit 2, the warm-up. Does the illness of a person dear to your heart upset you? Can you guess how a doctor feels for his ailing friend? Read the following unit of the text and note how Dr. Raman feels when he finds his bosom friend in a critical condition. So now, Unit 1 was completely about why the patients did avoid Dr. Raman. Very clear? Because of 2 reasons. That was because of his high visiting fee, that was 25 rupees. And the second thing was that Dr. Raman was a very straightforward, committed and truthful doctor. He never lied, he never wavered, he never whitewashed. He never gave unnecessary hope to his patients. He spoke the truth on the face. It was one way or the other when Dr. Raman came to picture. And that's the reason why patients felt it a little threatening in his association to go to him in the initial stage of sickness. And so they did go to him only when they became weak and likely to collapse. And of course, the unit did contain about Dr. Raman as a person, his qualities, his nature, and he as a doctor. Now, Unit 2, we are going to learn about that when our dear ones, they become sick, they become ill, and especially when a doctor. The patient is somebody who's very near and dear to you, or very closely associated, or a bosom friend of yours, intimate friend of yours. How does a doctor relate and react in such a situation? Let's see. The text. Today, standing over a bed, the doctor felt that he himself needed someone to tell him soothing lies. Soothing means comforting. Okay? Soothing means comforting lies. He mopped his brow with his kerchief and sat down in the chair beside the bed. You know, a doctor, Dr. Raman as a person, was so straightforward, truthful. He was so committed. He had one way or the other. But today, he was just standing by the side of his friend's bed, where his friend Gopal lay on the bed. And today, that strong person needed somebody to tell him some comforting lies, that what he was seeing was not true. He was not able to take up. That was his reaction when he saw his bosom intimate friend Gopal on bed, on sick bed. And he wiped, mop means wiped. He wiped his brows with the kerchief, as he was not able to take up the truth that his friend was on bed. On the bed lay his dearest friend in the world, Gopal. They had known each other for 40 years now, starting with the kindergarten days. They could not, of course, meet as much as they wanted, each being wrapped in his own family and profession. Occasionally on a Sunday, Gopal would walk into the consulting room and wait patiently in a corner till the doctor was free, and then they would dine together, see a picture and talk of each other's life and activities. It was a classic friendship, standing over untouched by changing times, circumstances and activities. So, he was now wanting, Dr. Raman, who was known for his straightforwardness, was now wanting somebody to tell him a comforting lie. Because he was seeing his bosom friend, intimate friend Gopal on bed, and he was not able to resist that. That was the reaction that the doctor had when he saw the patient, his own bosom intimate friend Gopal. And what kind of a friendship did they share? And they were friends since the kindergarten days, that was for last 40 years. And being occupied in their own lives, having the family burdens, having their personal life, professional life, both couldn't spare time every now and then with each other. But On Sundays, Gopal used to visit Dr. Raman. He used to wait in the consulting room till Dr. Raman used to get free. Then both of them used to sit together, have meal. Dying means to have meal together. They used to have meal together. They used to see a picture. They used to talk about each other's life and what all activities are going on. They used to have a lot of discussion on Sundays together. They used to spend time, and they really shared a classic friendship. Classic friendship means an excellent friendship. And the friendship, although they were not able to meet every day, chat and talk with each other every day, but only on Sundays, still the relationship, the friendship that had lasted for 40 years by now, it stood the same way. The relationship, the bonding was the same, and time had passed, but the bonding in between Dr. Raman and Gopal had stood the same way, and so they refer it as an excellent friendship or a classic friendship, okay? Because circumstances, apart from being very busy in their own schedules, in their professional, personal life and activities, their relationship, their wonderful classic friendship couldn't be changed or touched by passing of time. In his busy round of work, Dr. Raman had noticed that Gopal had not called in for over 3 months now. So time had passed, and Dr. Raman, being a very busy person, he had completely forgotten, that had completely gone out of his notice that Gopal had not visited him for last 3 months. He just remembered it when he saw Gopal's son sitting on a bench in the consulting hall one crowded morning. So Gopal's eldest son, his son had been to see Dr. Raman and was waiting in the consulting room one crowded morning, and when Dr. Raman did see Gopal's son, he got reminded that Gopal had not paid him a visit for last 3 months, which he had completely forgotten because of his busy schedule. Okay, and Dr. Raman could not talk to him for even an hour. When he got up and was about to pass on to the operation room, he called up the young man and asked, "What brings you here, sir?" The youth was nervous and shy. "Mother sent me here. What can I do for you?" "Father is ill." So for an hour, about an hour, Dr. Raman couldn't talk to him, couldn't go and meet him, although he saw him and he got reminded that Gopal had not paid him a visit for last 3 months. But still Dr. Raman couldn't go to him because he was very busy. And then when he was going to the operation room, on the way he stopped and he asked Gopal's son that what had brought him there, why had he been there to the hospital to meet Dr. Raman. So the youth, the boy, Gopal's son, in a very shyish manner, he did say that mother has sent me here. And why had she sent you here? Because father is ill. And there's where Dr. Raman happens to discover that Gopal was ill, and so that's the reason why Gopal had not paid him a visit for last 3 months. So with this we have ended up Unit 1 and Unit 2. Kindly read the units again so that you will be able to nicely relate what you have learned in the video. Thank you.